What's up, guys? Welcome back to another week of our series called Wise. During the month of September, we are learning all about wisdom, where it comes from, how to get it, and how we use it. This week, we are talking about a temple that King Solomon built. You remember King Solomon, right? We talked about him last week. He was the king that took over after King David died. One night, God came to King Solomon in a dream and told him to ask for anything, and he would give it to him. Solomon could have really asked for anything. He could have asked for money or power, anything he could have dreamed up in his mind. But do you remember what he asked for? He asked for wisdom. Before we jump into our Bible story today, let's worship together. Worshiping is celebrating the greatness of God. It's us telling God how amazing we think He is. So get up, turn up the volume wherever you're watching this, and let's worship together.
You are
Do you want to hear something crazy? Did you know that there's a contest in Spain where people compete to build the tallest human tower? Sounds kind of crazy, right? Check this out. Impressive, right? In order to build the tallest tower that they possibly can, these teams need to make sure that the people on the bottom are rock solid. Because if the people on the bottom aren't a steady foundation, then the tower's not going to get very tall. You know, that's kind of what trust is like. When we trust, we need a strong foundation, something we know we can count on, something that can never be moved. And you know, I only know one thing that's strong like that: God. And that's our big idea today. We're talking about how God can be trusted.
Hey there, you little chicken nuggets. It's me, Carl.
And I'm Cassie.
Yeah. Okay.
Excuse me?
I said, okay, Cassie. If that even is your real name.
Is something wrong?
Nope. Nothing's wrong. Roll the intro! Today's a special day because we're going to talk about a little thing called trust.
Ooh, I'm excited.
Are you now?
Yeah?
Interesting, because I thought you might have a problem with the word trust.
Why would you say that?
Oh, I don't know. A few things come to mind. How about last week when we did our trust ball?
Listen, you can't just yell trust fall as you're falling it and expect me to catch you. If you would have told me before, I probably would have caught you.
Oh, I'm sure. What about that one time you told me to touch fire? Can I touch this?
No.
Go?
No.
You said go?
I said no.
Okay, go.
I told you not to touch it.
Well, that's your opinion. Anyways, even this morning, you broke my trust again.
How?
Well, last night I had a bag of candy, and I put it right here. And this morning I came, and guess what?
They were gone?
They were gone! And by the way, how did you know that? Busted. Get 'em, boys.
What? No, listen, Carl. I don't know who took them, but I didn't take them. I wouldn't steal from you. We're friends.
I know that, but I just feel like I can't trust anyone right now.
I understand, but you know who you can trust?
Captain America?
No, God. You see, in the Old Testament, there was something called the Ark of the Covenant. It was like a huge box, but it was so much more than a box. It had the presence of God, and wherever it was, God was there. It also symbolized God's promises that were made and how all of them came true.
Wow. So what did they do with the Ark of the Covenant?
They brought the Ark into a new temple King Solomon had made. You remember Solomon, right? He asked God for wisdom and God gave it to him. In fact, Solomon became the wisest person in the whole world.
Is that why he built the temple?
That's part of it. But before that, God promised Solomon's father David that one of his children would become king and build the temple, and that was Solomon. Solomon wanted to show God how thankful he was that all of God's promises had come true.
That's cool. I also remember that verse in Proverbs chapter 3. It tells us to trust God with all our heart, not to lean on our own understanding.
Exactly. When we trust God, we will not only receive more forgiveness and love, but we will become more wise.
I guess you're right. Thanks for understanding. I guess it's good to know that God can be trusted.
Hey, that's our big idea.
What? Oh, that's our big idea! Today's big idea is super important.
Yep, it's that God can be trusted.
So on the count of 3, let's all say it together. 1,
2,
3. God can be trusted! And you can trust that. That God can be trusted. Yes. Good job, everyone. Right?
right?
Right. Trust in God.
So Carl,
Yes, Cassie.
just know, just like you didn't trust me, there might be times where it's hard for us to trust God, but always know that you can talk to God and the trust will come.
Thanks, Cassie. I guess I'll never know who ate my bag of candy.
Hey, Art.
What are you eating?
Candy.
Where did you get it?
Holiest thing. Right where you're sitting. Crazy.
Like right here?
Yeah.
Carl, breathe.
Yeah. What?
That's my candy, you fool!
See you next week.
Thank you for watching, and tune in next week for a new episode of Pro TV.
Solomon was the king of Israel after his father, David, died. God made Solomon very wise. Solomon began to build a temple for the Lord. Solomon ordered thousands of workers to help build the temple. They cut cedar logs and stone blocks. They laid a foundation and built the outside of the temple. God blessed the temple and promised Solomon, "If you obey my commands, I will keep the promise I made to David. I will live among the Israelites, and I will not abandon my people." The temple was built in 7 years. It was beautiful. The cedar paneling inside the temple was carved with ornamental gourds and flower blossoms. Solomon overlaid everything inside the temple with pure gold. He hired men to make bronze furnishings for the temple, such as bronze bowls for holding water. When the temple was complete, Solomon moved the Ark of God from its place on Mount Zion to the new temple in Jerusalem. Solomon gathered the leaders of Israel. As the priests moved the Ark to the most holy place in the temple, King Solomon and the leaders sacrificed sheep and cattle to the Lord. When the priests came out of the temple, a cloud filled the temple. God's glory was in the cloud. Solomon turned to speak to the Israelites. "Praise God," he said. God promised David that his son would build a temple. God kept his promise. Solomon stood and prayed with his hands spread out toward heaven. "There is no God like you," he said. Then Solomon thought about the future. He knew Israel would sin and make God angry again. So Solomon asked for forgiveness, and he asked God to hear their prayers. When Solomon had finished praying, he encouraged the Israelites to love and obey God. The people returned to their homes, joyful because God was good to them. The temple was a place where God was good with his people. The people could go there to make sacrifices and worship God. Today, when we trust in Jesus, he is with us wherever we go. We can look to him for forgiveness and help.
Solomon spent a ton of time and attention building the temple. After all, this was God's house and he wanted it to be perfect. After the temple was completely finished, Solomon brought in the Ark of the Covenant. The Ark of the Covenant was this special box that held the 2 tablets that had the 10 Commandments carved into them. The Ark of the Covenant was really important to God's people, so they put it in the holiest spot in the entire temple. Through the 10 Commandments, God was guiding his people through life. And the Israelites trusted that God would fulfill his promises to them. So the moment when the ark is brought into the temple is really special to God's people. God had promised Solomon's dad, King David, that it would be his family that would build God's house. And now it was happening. They were seeing God's promise fulfilled. This month, we are talking all about wisdom. And because God's wisdom is greater than anything else, we can trust in him as he leads and guides us. It was true for King Solomon, and you know what? It is still true for us today. Let's go over our Bible verse for this month. Remembering Bible verses is a great way to get God's truth stuck in our minds, and then we can pull out that truth whenever we need it most. This month's Bible verse is James 1:5. Here's what it says. If any of you lacks wisdom, you should ask God, and it will be given to you. This month, you'll find a Bible verse card in your Mission Kids church kit. Take that card and put it somewhere around your house where you'll see it every day. And that way you can be reminded of God's truth wherever you are. Now, take 30 seconds to say the verse with the people around you. Okay, you guys, that is it from me this week. Head to missionventura.com/kids to check out this week's family activity and discussion questions for you to do together as a family. Have a great week, and I'll see you guys next Sunday. Bye!